Greetings, everyone. I am GentlemanGames, and welcome to the first episode of A Loose League of Adventurers with Moderate Abilities, a Dungeons & Dragons podcast. Follow the exploits of Glind, Elira, Sai, and Kellic as they travel the world uncovering secrets from their past and discovering new things about each other. This podcast is intended for mature audiences. If you are not mature and listen to this podcast, you may risk finding our humor funnier than it actually is. Last time on Llama. Oh, wait a minute. This is the first episode. All right. Next time, we'll have a last time. Enjoy the episode, everyone. The four of you, Glind, Kellic, Elira, and Sai, recently have met each other for the most part as a whole. And you very quickly decided there was mutual characteristics about each of you that you guys liked. And so you kind of banded together in search of one thing or another. Some of you might be questing out for glory, others for gold, and others for knowledge and the like. But regardless of the reasoning behind it, you have all decided to band together to assist each other in pushing out into the world and going on an adventure. And you have found yourselves aboard the Flying Glue, which is a ship, a large frigate that you have purchased passage on from your old world continent to the continent of Mephoria, which is a large landmass of untold riches. Apparently, there was some sort of ancient civilization on the landmass that you guys had heard about that died out in some sort of catastrophic event. And in that event, all life on that continent was wiped out, and the continent was very recently rediscovered. And so you're going out there, you're basically like charging to the frontier to get towns and riches. It's the fantasy equivalent of a gold rush, except instead of gold, you're looking for magic artifacts, knowledge, and gold pieces. And so you've been aboard this, the Flying Glue for roughly 3 weeks. And every day you've noticed that the weather is getting stormier or darker, or if it's not storming, there's just extremely thick overcast clouds and rain off in the distance. And the four of you are sharing a room with most of the other ship's crew. Basically, there's a bunch of posts in there with hammocks hanging in between it. And over the last 3 weeks, you've become pretty knowledgeable about the crew, including the captain, who is a very boisterous, flamboyant man who dresses in not traditional sailor garb by any means. He likes more of a fancy outfit: suits, ties, bow ties, fancy hats, monocles, and he has a cane on him at all times. And in the other hand, he has a glass that is never empty, a goblet of sorts that never seems to be empty. And if it gets close to being empty, he has an attendant come and fill it up for him. And you're pretty convinced that this man is tatered about 24/7. You've never talked to him at any point where you couldn't smell some sort of alcohol or fermented beverage on his breath. And you're just going into week 4 of being aboard this vessel with 6 weeks left of your journey. And the captain comes down below deck as it's a very hot day, even though it's overcast, and everyone's kind of taking shade underneath deck where it's a little bit cooler with the portholes open and the sea breeze is kind of flying in and keeping things cool. And he comes down and he's got his cane in one hand and a goblet in the other, and you hear him announce, "I do believe today, as the sun sets below these abysmal clouds, we shall have a celebration of our 1/3 of the way on our journey voyage. Who's with me?" "Arr! A pirate aboard my ship. Throw him overboard." He comes over and like pats you on the back, and he knows you're joking. And he's kind of standing before you, and he's short. This is a very short man. He's human, but he is probably only like 4'3". Like, this guy is tiny, almost halfling sized. What was that?
Would you say that he is well known for being short, or is that not a lot of people know about?
I wouldn't, like, he has a frigate, so he's known as a captain on the Glist Sea, which is the sea you guys are passing over. Mm-hmm. But he's no one of like renown or anything crazy. He's a little more wealthier than, you know, somebody working.
So what you're saying is, if somebody sees him, they wouldn't necessarily know he's the captain unless he says, "I'm the captain."
Yeah, unless they have previous dealings with him or anything like that.
Yeah. So
I am going to approach the captain and ask him what he's drinking.
Hello, Glenn. A good day to you. And if you would like, I can get you some for yourself. You seem a little pale. Perhaps a little warmth in the stomach can do you good. I am drinking a beautiful 13-year-old vintage of a dwarven ale. It's absolutely fantastic. It's got a fresh bouquet of saltpeter and mead.
Captain, it's been years since I've had a dwarven ale of that vintage. I would dearly love a cup.
He snaps his fingers. So like he's got his cane or his pole basically, and he sets it like so it's standing on its end, and he lifts his hand up really quick and snaps his fingers, and his hand is back down on his cane before it even starts tilting. And a little gnome comes running down the stairs. Yes, Captain. How can I help you? Get my friends some. Bring them each a glass, a mug, and bring them some of my private store. More of this, please. Yes, Captain.
Private.
And the gnome runs back up the stairs, and the captain turns to you. It'll take him a minute. He's got those short little gnome legs. You know how they are. They're a little unreliable, but they're here, and you know, it's better than having a mouse fetch it for me, I guess.
I'm sure you know all about having I stop mid-sentence.
You're lucky I like you, boy.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. I must have heard a seagull.
Yeah, it must. I just happened to see the glint of the sun peering off of the water, you know, through the portholes, and I thought it was beautiful. And I lost track of what I was trying to say, so I don't remember what I was saying.
Yes. Definitely a seagull. We have those out here, you know.
As the whatever that goblin was or anything that went to get the drinks, as he's running, I'm gonna pull out my little mandolin-y looty thing and hitch one foot onto the railing of the ship and gaze off into the distance and sing an ancient song about the sea.
Okay, all right. What exactly does that song sound like?
Something along the lines of like the sun shimmers down from the horizon. There's no land in sight. It's been days since we've seen it, and but that's the way I like it. And and land can come, but before it does, I'll breathe in the sea air and the salt, and with my mates at my side, and dream of the women in the lands that we approach, and in the meantime I'm filled with joy. That's the gist of the song.
That's a fantastic song.
That's just a terrible song. There's like no word structure, rhythm.
I smirk at you and go on playing.
Yeah, he doesn't care. It's an ancient song before they understood music theory, obviously. No.
Apparently. I mean, how are you supposed to enjoy good ale when you have no music?
Amen.
You're supposed to give us good music.
Oh, good music. Well, I'm playing for the captain, not for you.
Oh, that makes sense. All right. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So eventually the gnome comes down and he hands Glind, Kellic, Sai, and Elira, all four of you. He hands you a drink. However, you guys all realize that Elira, like, she's asleep. Like, she got up when the captain came down. She kind of like looked out, and then she like just went right back into her hammock and just passed out. And so
she's a little tuckered out.
yeah, I mean, she doesn't look like the kind of person who spent a lot of time on the sea. So like the hot, humid sea air is kind of hitting her hard, and the waves of it. You know, she's been fairly seasick the whole voyage, so she's trying to spend most of her time asleep.
So, when I take a drink of the ale,
Mm-hmm.
can I roll an insight check, or what would it be to see if it was like actually what the ale is, or if it's like a fake or something? Because considering my background, I assume I would know a fake if I tasted it.
Yeah, I mean, as you taste it, you know right away, like, this is some strong stuff. It's got some goji berry background flavor with some mandrake root for like a bitter flavor, and it's there's kind of like a spice to it, which you're assuming is the saltpeter. Basically it's gunpowder that's mixed into it to give it kind of a peppered flavor. And what was that?
Those kooky dwarves.
Yeah, those kooky dwarves. But yeah, like, this is definitely a high shelf brand of, or a high shelf bottle of liquor.
Now, would I be able to tell if it was a forgery or not?
There is no way that this could be forged. Like, it's either
I shake my head at him.
Yeah, it's either a real drink or it's not. Like, you're not drinking like dust in a cup.
There's people that can forge wine that tastes like really expensive wine, or true wine that's just new cheap wine that they just put different flavoring and stuff in.
Yeah, but
taste
this
relatively
is
same.
this is not one of those examples.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was.
Nope. So as you guys are drinking, the captain, he kind of turns and he's like, "All right, I'll see you all on the main deck as sun sets below the horizon." And he kind of like gets up and walks back up the stairs out onto the deck over to where his first mate is manning the helm.
Now, do we know the captain's name?
Yes, his name is Captain Rimshot.
Captain. All right.
An ancient name.
An ancient name passed down through legacies of short humans.
So for the first week of the voyage, Kellic would likely be throwing up often, but still pretty positive that, hey, I'm on a boat for the first time.
Yes, I would assume so.
And Sivelios has pretty much made everybody fall in love with him by now, is what I would assume.
I'm going to go ahead and have you roll for that. Why don't you go ahead and roll me a charisma check?
Oh, yeah, I'll roll you a charisma check. All right. Just a regular charisma check?
Yep,
Not
just
like
a regular
persuasion?
old charisma check.
Okay, that would be an 18.
See, the crew is very familiar with charlatans and unsavory characters and savory characters and rich folk buying passage and people trying to hide from people buying passage. And
That's why they love me.
And so you've definitely swayed a lot of them to enjoy your personality and company, but you're not entirely affecting the whole crew. There's still plenty of them that keep their distance from you, or you come by and they'll give you the time of day, but they don't really care, and you can tell.
All right. Did I see like anything because I spent 3 weeks on this ship? I'm assuming I explored everywhere I could possibly explore. Did I see anything interesting when I was exploring at all?
You've never been in the captain's quarters, and you've never been on the lowest deck, which is where they're holding the cargo they're shipping. You've attempted to get into the captain's quarters, but he's kind of like he's stayed fairly distant from even bringing it up. And if you ever brought it up, he kind of like deflected it and changed the subject very very carefully. And as
Wait, sorry,
yeah.
I'm really sorry. I missed the subject of what?
Sai is wondering if he has discovered anything interesting on the ship over the last 3 weeks.
Okay, on the ship.
Yep. And
Or
so
about the ship, just
yeah,
mostly on, but
and the bottom deck where they keep their storage and their cargo. Every time you've tried to go down there, there have been at least 2 people on guard, blocking or barring entrance. So aside from just kind of like peering down through a little door, you don't even know what kind of cargo is below you.
Okay. Have I noticed like any symbols, that other people in my craft have put anywhere?
No, nothing of that order.
Right.
You've seen no thieves' cant written anywhere. You've not noticed any hidden hobo symbols or anything like that. The ship actually is fairly immaculately clean, almost to an alarming note, where most ships have, there's a little dinge or there's barnacles on the outside of it, or, there might be where they've oiled the deck or they've tried swelling the woods and stuff. Like, even as they've done that, they've cleaned up behind themselves as they're working. And this ship looks like probably as good as the day it was built.
So Kellic has been holding his mug the entire time. Like, he's sniffing. He's like, that's a bit different than what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
And he would kind of hand it off to Sai.
Before that, other
not
character,
really-
do we know each other's ages at all yet? Like, have we asked that
I
at
mean,
all, or-
I would have. You guys have been together for probably 6 or more months, not including the voyage on the ship. So I would assume you guys at some point have discussed, where you're from, the basics. Maybe
All
keeping
right.
private or details to yourselves, but yeah.
All right. So, how old is Kellic then?
He is fairly young. He is 22 years old.
Okay, so he's younger than me by a little bit. All right. I just needed to know how to interact with him. Come on, boy. You have to drink some.
Oh, okay.
Come on. You have not lived the life of on the sea until you get a good cup of ale in you.
I'm gonna pause in my singing and just give him a nod and say like, oh, like don't worry, boy. Like drink deep.
Okay.
It's a vintage I've rarely tasted.
You've kind of accrued a small group of people sitting around you and listening to your ballad as you kind of like stare out the side of the ship singing your song. And when you stop, they kind of like all realize you stop and like move back around and begin milling again on the ship, like doing their duties and things.
Well, I start again because that was just a brief.
Okay.
Singity sing sing.
Hey, Glenn, do you know any like Guns N' Roses or anything like that?
Well, guns. I don't believe they exist in this land, do they?
Nope, not that you're aware of.
Yeah, but roses I know, and here's a song about one. Every rose has its thorn. Just
Ooh,
like
that sounds nice.
Every bard has its lyre. And so
I start
on.
singing along
Yeah.
as I'm drinking ale and I'm forcing
Nice.
Kellic to drink some ale.
Yeah, try to round up some of those sailors into it too. Let's get a good party going.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like they heard the beginning of that, and that is an old, long time sea shanty
Yeah,
of the
sea
manliest
shanty.
of men. And so
Yep.
like all of a sudden these big burly hairy guys who are like swabbing around or like tacking the side of the deck, they just stop suddenly and they like go arms over each other's shoulders in a row, swaying back and forth, passing down a ladle of water to drink, and they're like singing like
Whoa, yeah.
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 Like
As Kellic is forced to drink, he would spill most of it down his front.
Okay, now guys, I'm just gonna like, okay, this is complex, but just hear me out on this. I'm gonna glance over at first Kellic, trying to get him to take a drink. I'm gonna keep encouraging him to drink, but I'm gonna give a knowing wink to Sai, because. And so I'm gonna just kind of like wink at him and then like kind of shake my head in the direction of the back of the ship, because I really this whole time have been really curious as to what this cargo is that nobody's been able to see. And so while I've got all these guys cheering Kellic on to take his first drink of dwarven wine, I'm gonna wink at you and hope that you know that I'm saying, hey, try to get in there.
Do I understand that? Do I get what he's saying?
I'm hoping that we're good enough friends that, I mean, this is like...
Yeah, I would assume, especially as a charlatan, you would be very quick on the up and up. Like, this is an
roll for
opportunity.
innuendo.
Like, we've been talking about it on the trip.
All right, then I am gonna roll a stealth check, so I would just, like, so people can't see me.
Sort of. I mean...
Do you have, like, a disguise or anything like that?
Ooh. Do we know where the captain's at?
Yeah, the captain's standing right next to us, isn't he?
No, the captain is up on deck by the first mate. That's the last place you guys knew where he was.
Oh, okay.
All right. And I'm assuming I've spent enough time that I know his mannerisms and...
Oh, yeah. We've been around him.
And I do have a disguise kit.
Okay.
So could I disguise myself as the captain?
That would be a fairly difficult job unless you had access to his wardrobe or something.
Could we do something to, like, distract the guards or something?
Right now it looks like they are probably, hold on. They have both joined in on this, like, arm in arm, like, singing ballad, and, like, they're going ham.
Nice.
I gingerly sneak downstairs.
Yes.
All right, roll your stealth check.
That would be a 12.
Okay. Yeah, the crew is actively distracted, and you've managed to sneak downstairs, realizing the guards were up on deck singing this song. And as you're moving kind of slow because you're trying to make sure you're not getting seen or anything. And you get down to the door, the portal that is blocking your sight from what is beyond in the cargo hold, and Glenn's ballad, he hits a wrong note. And the crew immediately is kind of like taken out of this unifying trance that they had going on. Glenn, go ahead and roll a perform check to see if you can recover.
Which die is that?
It'll be a D20, and then on your sheet, I believe there's performance listed under your skills.
There's a
yeah, I've got a +3.
Okay, yep. So a D20 plus your 3.
That'd be 22.
Oh, yeah, you managed, like, they're back in. Like, you hit that note, like, incorrectly, and you kind of, like, make a sideways remark and joke about it, and the crew just starts chuckling and laughing as you go right back into, like,
nice.
the lyre solo, just like,
yes.
And Sai, in front of you, this door, it beckons you to open it.
It does beckon me. Okay, can I search for traps? Make sure it's not
go ahead and roll an investigation check.
Good idea.
14.
14. You're searching around and you don't find any traps. It looks like this door does not have any sort of mechanisms on it outside of a lock.
All right, and I can see the lock. I know what type of lock it is. I'm like, ooh,
Yep.
I got this. Sup?
All right, so roll.
Okay, I'm going to use my Thieves tool, which I do have proficiency in.
Okay.
And I have expertise in my Thieves tools. So every time I use check with it, my proficiency is doubled.
All right, so then a
Nice.
D20.
It'll be a +4.
Yep, a D20 plus 4. Go ahead and roll.
That would be I can't do math, 17.
All right. You pull out the two little things that you think you need for this specific type of lock, which is a fairly common lock, and you've got them into the keyhole, and you hear click as the door opens.
I'm opening it very gingerly, so it doesn't make a creaky noise, you know.
All right.
Even though they're being promises, I'm just trying to be safe.
With your red hair You push the door open with it, making sure that it gingerly opens the. No, I'm just kidding. You
I don't
slowly.
know where that red
Wow.
hair came from. Must have been from my conquest before we
No,
left
no, no.
port.
It was
but...
definitely your gingerly opening.
Yes.
So you open up the door, and do you go through it? Like, are you just peeking? Like, what are you doing?
I'm peeking. I'm making sure it's all safe and nothing's.
It's dark. There is no light.
I have dark vision.
Ah, very good. In
Yeah.
in this area, in this hold, you see stacks on stacks of crates, and each crate has a symbol on it, and that symbol is a crescent moon with an X through it, like, or not through it, but like inside of the crescent.
Now, would I recognize this symbol at all?
Go ahead and give me a knowledge religion check.
That'd be a 20.
This is not a religion you are familiar with. However, you do have you have the knowledge and the background information that a crescent moon is oftentimes referred to in different religions, and that this is most likely a religious symbol. But outside of that, you don't know any other information of it.
You should talk to us about it later.
That would be metagaming, and that is wrong.
Sorry. You're
Okay,
right. You're right.
Have I noticed? Did I? Can I try roll to notice to see if I see like if there's like a string or something to be booby trapped out on like for an alarm or something that's on the inside of the door?
Sure, yeah,
Like when I
you
enter?
can roll another investigation check.
All right. Oh, okay. That would be a 10.
Nope, you don't see anything.
Okay.
Not metagaming.
Okay, I'm gonna lightly put 1 foot into the door.
Okay. You put it into the door. Nothing
Like,
happens.
Okay, so I'm gonna step into the room.
Nothing happens.
All right, so it's just a barrel, right?
A what?
You said barrels and a bunch of other
Crates.
stuff.
Crates.
Crates. Do any of the crates have any thieves' cants?
Nope, none that you can see.
Okay. Is there any crate that's easily opened?
They all look to be hammered shut. So like wooden crates with large nails through the top layer of it to hammer them shut.
All right. Are there any like holes in the crates that I could like peek through?
You do see one crate slightly out of the ordinary that does seem to have some round and square holes in the side of it.
All right. When I okay, how far away is that from me?
It's about 20 feet.
Okay, I'm gonna stealthily go up towards it.
Okay.
You know, and do I hear anything? Like making sure that nothing is like
Roll a
breathing or something?
perception check.
Okay, perception. That'd be a 17.
You don't think you hear anything. However, there's a lot of wave noise crashing against the side of the hull.
Just
Okay.
bust in there.
No, I am gonna. I'm trying to figure out what I all have. How big are the holes, roughly?
I'd say they're about an inch.
Inch. Okay. So a tinder box would have tinder stuff in it. I'm guessing.
It's gonna have like flint and steel and like little pieces of wool, like dried wool or dried bark and stuff. Basically, what you need to start a small fire.
Okay. Is there like a single piece of small bark that could fit into the hole if I'm holding on to it?
In the tinderbox, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume there's probably a small piece of like a bark or a twig.
Okay, I want to take one of those, poke it in one of the holes to make sure like nothing's trying to like spit at me or go off in my eye or something.
Okay.
Or attack me.
You put it through the hole and instantly you hear and whatever you were holding is like ripped out of your grasp.
Huh. Did I recognize the sound?
Yeah, it sounds like a cat.
Aw.
Like a cat at the
Kittens
mail
for
slot.
everyone!
Oh, okay, well, it's a cat. That's sad. Like, Why would they have cat in a crate?
Cat in a Crate. It's the new hit craze for children this winter. For Christmas this year, it's Cat in the Crate.
And the silver spoon.
The
Okay,
man
well-
on the deck of the ship. Two.
Since I can't I'm not chancing breaking into any of the other crates to see if because then they know somebody was down here. I am gonna go out of the room, close the door lightly, and relock it.
Okay, so you leave the room, and as you close the door, right as the door relatches, you hear a massive, crashing noise, as do Kellic and Glind, and the ship keels to the side slightly, and it's starting to roil back and forth. Find out what awaits our adventurers in the next episode of A Loose League of Adventurers with Moderate Abilities. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to support this kind of content and other content like it, please consider becoming a Patreon over at www.patreon.com/GentlemanGames. You can become a Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and it's because of supporters like you that we can continue making quality content for you to enjoy. Thank you.